The fork in my hand never made it to my mouth. My granddaughter slid something across the table like she was passing contraband in a prison movie, a folded napkin, her little fingers shaking. I smiled, thinking it was another one of her goofy heart and flower doodles. I opened it. Grandma, pretend you're sick. Leave now. My whole body went cold. The fork in my hand never reached. I looked up. She was staring at me, eyes way too big and scared for a 10-year-old. Then her gaze flicked to the head of the table where my son, his wife Melissa, and her parents were laughing way too hard, clinking wine glasses like they were celebrating something. Yeah, they were. Hook to the audience before I tell you how my own family tried to sign my life away over turkey and mashed potatoes. Do me a quick favor. Drop in the comments where you're watching from and how old you are. I'm 72, watching my back and my bank account. If you're already hooked, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the kind of stories that make you double check who is really sitting at your table. Alright, back to that napkin. I think I'm not feeling well. I set my fork down, pressed a hand to my chest, and forced my face into that uh-oh look. I'm not feeling too good, I said. The whole table went quiet. My son did that fake concerned voice people use when they're more annoyed than worried. Mom, seriously. It's Thanksgiving. Melissa leaned into him and whispered something behind her hand. I didn't catch the words, but I saw the smirk. Her parents just sat there sipping wine like this was a TV show. My granddaughter scooted her chair back so fast it scraped the floor. I'll walk Grandma to the car, she blurted. Her mom frowned. Honey, dessert isn't even out yet. Please, just for a minute, she said, and her voice cracked. That's when I knew. My son waved a hand, already bored. Fine, just hurry back. I stood up, feeling weirdly floaty, like my legs were 3 seconds behind the rest of me. The room felt too bright, too loud, too fake. The second the front door shut behind us, the cold air hit my face and snapped everything into focus. My granddaughter's hand was ice cold in mine. Okay, I whispered. What's going on, baby? She kept glancing back at the house. Grandma, they were talking about you before dinner. My heart started pounding. The plan I wasn't meant to hear, they said after tonight. You're not gonna live alone anymore, she said, voice shaking. I stopped dead by the mailbox. What do you mean after tonight? They said you already had some doctor thing done, she rushed out. A medical test, and there were papers. Mom said you don't even know you signed something. Grandpa Ron said the notary is coming after dessert so you can officially transfer the property. The street light above us flickered like a bad omen. Property? I repeated. You mean my house? She nodded, tears in her eyes. They kept calling it the asset. Mom said once it's in their name, they can put you in a nice place so they don't have to worry about you being stubborn. Stubborn. That word burned. I'm not stubborn. I'm independent. That's a whole different thing. And she said, my granddaughter whispered, you'd be happier in a facility. Less stress, less responsibility. But you're fine, Grandma. You remember everything. You're not confused. I stared at that warm, glowing house I'd watched my son grow up in. Inside, I could see shadows moving, laughing, celebrating. They weren't just having Thanksgiving dinner. They were pre-gaming my eviction. I knelt down, knees protesting, and took her face in my hands. You did exactly the right thing telling me, I said. You probably just saved your grandma's whole life. She threw her arms around my neck, and I hugged her like I would never let go. Connecting the dots on the drive back to my house, my brain was sprinting. Suddenly, all the weird little moments of the last few months lined up like puzzle pieces. The surprise visits with a mysterious folder they always wanted me to just look over. The comments about my garden being too much for someone your age. Melissa insisting on coming to one of my doctor appointments to help talk to the doctor. That appointment had been odd. The doctor asked me what year it was, who the president was, had me count backward from 100. I joked my way through it and aced everything. He smiled, typed some notes, and we moved on. At the time I figured, okay, Medicare's being weird again. Now I understood. That wasn't a routine checkup. That was Exhibit A for Grandma's losing it. This isn't just a house when I pulled into my driveway. I just sat there with the engine off, staring at the porch light. This wasn't just property. This was 40 years of my life. I walked through the front door and really looked at my home for the first time in a long time. The dent in the hallway where my son crashed his bike inside when he was 8. I'd been furious. Then made him hot chocolate anyway. The kitchen window where I used to watch my husband tinker in the garage, humming off key. The bedroom where we argued about money, laughed until we cried and planned a future we barely had 2 nickels to build. My husband's been gone 12 years now. Heart attack. One normal Tuesday he was there, and the next day I was picking out a coffin instead of a Father's Day gift. I paid this place off by myself. Every bill, every repair, every tax notice, my paychecks, my savings, my hands. And my own child sat in somebody else's dining room calling it an asset. That's when something in me just snapped into place. Not rage, not sadness, something colder. You want to play games with me? Okay, but I'm not the one. Making a planned sleep was a lost cause, so I made tea instead and sat at the kitchen table with an old notepad. I wrote everything down. Dates of their surprise visits, what they said about downsize and safety, that weird doctor's appointment, the napkin, the notary, the facility. By sunrise, I had pages of notes and one very simple decision. If they were going to treat me like I was incompetent, I was going to show them exactly how dangerous a competent old woman could be. First stop, the bank. Second stop, a lawyer. And yes, I took my granddaughter with me. If they could use her as a pawn in their scheme, I could make her my witness in my defense. Locking the money down, the bank manager, Mr. Peters, has known me for almost 20 years. He's seen me cry over mortgage papers, celebrate paying off loans, and bring cookies at Christmas. Morning, Mrs. Harrison, he said. What can I do for you today? I need to make sure nobody touches my accounts unless I say so, I told him. And when I say nobody, I mean not my son, not his wife, not their lawyer cousin, not Jesus himself, unless he's holding my driver's license. He blinked, then nodded slowly. Family trouble? He asked gently. Family greed, I corrected. He set up enhanced authentication, which is fancy bank speak for you can show up with the full power of attorney and still get told no if I am not standing there in person. Before I left, he slipped me a card. Elder fraud is sadly common, he said. If you need legal backup, this attorney is very good. I smiled. Funny you should mention a lawyer. That's my next stop. Meeting the lawyer, her name was Catherine Mills. Sharp eyes, short gray hair, the kind of woman who looks like she'd sue the devil and win on a technicality. I told her everything. She didn't interrupt. She just took notes and occasionally raised an eyebrow when I mentioned something especially shady. When I finished, she leaned back and exhaled. What your son and his wife are doing, she said, has a name, elder financial abuse. And you're right, they were about to trap you. Can you stop them? I asked. Oh, we're not just going to stop them, she said, smiling in a way that made me very glad she was on my side. We're going to make sure that even if they try something again, the law hits them straight in their wallets. The plan was simple and brilliant. Move my house and savings into a revocable living trust in my name. Document everything they'd already done, especially that secret medical evaluation. Preposition evidence in case they tried to forge anything. And your granddaughter? Catherine added, glancing at her. She's a key witness. What she overheard matters. My granddaughter straightened up, suddenly proud instead of scared. When we left, Catherine squeezed my shoulder. People like your son count on you being too ashamed to fight back, she said. You're not giving them that satisfaction. She was right. The threat a few days later, my phone rang. My son. I almost let it go to voicemail, then decided, nope, let's hear the villain's monologue. Hey Mom, he said, voice all tight. We need to talk. Of course, I said sweetly. How are you? He didn't take the bait. Why did you leave Thanksgiving like that? He demanded. Melissa's parents were offended. You just walked out. I wasn't feeling well, I replied. Thought I mentioned that. You could have stayed. We'd take care of you. Yeah, I bet. Then he got to the point. Look, we also need to finish the paperwork. The notary's available Wednesday. We'll come by, you sign, and this whole thing is done, easy. What exactly am I signing again? I asked, even though I already knew. You know this, he snapped. Power of attorney, property stuff, medical directives, standard, for your protection. What if I don't want to sign? I said, his voice went ice cold. Then we'll have to go another route. We already have the cognitive evaluation from your doctor. We can file to have you declared legally incompetent. There it was. The threat. The do this my way or the court will do it for you. Instead of fear, I felt this weird calm settle over me. I see, I said. Well, let me look at my calendar and get back to you. Don't take too long, he said. There's a legal window for doing this voluntarily. I understand perfectly, I replied, and I did. The second I hung up, I called Catherine. They're coming Wednesday, I told her. Good, she said. By Wednesday, your trust will be official. Let them bring their little stunt. We'll be ready, they ambush. Reverse, they didn't even wait until Wednesday. On Monday afternoon, I saw my son's car pull into my driveway. Melissa beside him, clutching that same thick folder like it was a winning lottery ticket. I opened the door before they could knock. Well, this is a surprise, I said. Come on in. They sat on the couch. Melissa spread the papers on the coffee table like a dealer laying out a hand of cards. This is the power of attorney, she chirped. This one puts the house into a family trust. That one covers medical decisions. Just sign where it's highlighted and we're golden. I picked up the first page and pretended to read it, letting the silence stretch. Before I put pen to paper, I looked up at them. Quick question, I said. When were you going to tell me about the secret medical evaluation you set up? My son's face drained of color. What evaluation? Melissa said too fast. The one where the doctor asked if I knew what year it was and who the president is, I said. The one you were planning to wave in front of a judge to say I don't know what I am doing. Silence. Mom, you're overreacting, my son started. Sit, I said, and there must have been something in my voice because he shut up and did exactly that. Then I pulled out my folder. I met with a lawyer last week, I said. Her name is Catherine Mills. She filed a revocable living trust. My house, my savings, my accounts, all protected. Even if you got me declared incompetent tomorrow morning, you still wouldn't touch a penny. Melissa grabbed the document, eyes darting over it. You can't just do this without consulting the family. Watch me, I said. My son tried a softer angle. Mom, we're doing this because we love you. Is that why you had someone forge my signature at the county office? I asked calmly. His head snapped up. I slid another paper toward them. See, Catherine hired a handwriting expert. Those signatures you filed, not mine. Which means someone committed fraud. And we both know it wasn't the dog. Melissa's hands were shaking now. You're taking this way too far. No, I said. You took it too far when you started treating me like a debit card with arthritis. I stood and pointed at the door. You need to leave, right now. My son stayed seated, eyes shiny. Mom, please don't do this. We can fix it. If you wanted to fix it, I said quietly, you would have come to me like a son. Not like a vulture. He didn't have an answer for that. They walked out with their fancy folder and zero power. And for the first time in weeks, when the door clicked shut, it sounded like freedom instead of fear. The fallout, it didn't end that day, of course. Their lawyer sent a dramatic letter. Catherine sent an even more dramatic one back, basically saying, try it, and we'll see you in court with handcuffs involved. My son wrote me a 3-page guilt trip about how I'd misunderstood their intentions. I read it once and filed it under trash with extra steps. They started showing up at church again, acting wounded and holy, hoping I'd back down. I didn't badmouth them. I didn't need to. Small towns have sharp eyes and faster gossip than the internet. People put 2 and 2 together. You can't hide grief forever, but you know who I did keep close? My granddaughter. She spent more nights at my house. We baked. We watched movies. We did homework at the kitchen table where Thanksgiving almost became sign grandma away day. One night she asked, "Are you mad at Mom and Dad?" I thought about it. "I'm not mad," I said finally. "I'm disappointed." Anger burns out. Disappointment. It changes what someone is to you. She nodded slowly, like she understood more than a kid should. The quiet kind of revenge the letter stopped. The surprise visits stopped. Eventually, the tight ball of stress in my chest loosened. The house went back to being just my house, my chores, my garden, my life. One evening, I got a text from my granddaughter. "Good night, Grandma. I love you. I'm glad you're still in your house." I typed back, "Because of you, sweetheart, I am." I turned off the light, laid down in my own bed, in my own room, in the home my husband and I built from scratch together, dollars and stubborn dreams. For the first time in a long time, the silence in the house didn't feel like danger. It felt like peace. The next morning my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Unknown numbers, blocked calls, voicemails with silence, just breathing. And that's when I knew this wasn't over. Before we dive in, tell me this. Have you ever cut off a family member, then had them show up acting like you were the villain? Yeah, that's where I'm at. Hit like if you've ever had to choose peace over family, and subscribe, because what I'm about to say will make you question your own bloodline. 3 days after the showdown, I got a knock on the door. Not my son, not Melissa, a social worker. She smiled politely, holding a clipboard like it was a badge of truth. "Mrs. Harrison," she said, "we received a report about your living conditions. Is it okay if I come in?" A report? From who, I wonder? I stepped aside anyway. I had nothing to hide. She glanced around my living room like she was on an episode of Holders. Clean, tidy, organized. Just lived in. After 10 minutes, she looked almost embarrassed. "Everything seems fine." "I'm sorry for the intrusion." "Don't apologize," I told her. "You're just doing your job. But next time, ask your source to be a little more creative with their lies." She blinked, clearly getting the hint. The next move that night, my lawyer Catherine called. "You're not going to like this," she said. They filed a petition for guardianship, claiming cognitive decline. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I'd seen this movie before. So what happens now? They'll try to get a judge to appoint your son as your legal guardian, she explained, which means control over your money, house, medical care, everything. But don't panic. We'll stop it before it reaches court. Panic? No, but fury, that I had in spades. Family reunion from hell. A week later, I walked into the courthouse wearing my late husband's navy blue blazer. He always said it made me look like someone who didn't lose arguments. My son sat at the table with his lawyer cousin, acting wounded. Melissa was beside him, crocodile tears locked and loaded. They hadn't expected me to show up with Catherine Mills. The judge looked over his glasses. Mrs. Harrison, your son claims you're incapable of managing your affairs. He's provided a medical report and financial statements. I leaned forward. Your Honor, I'd like to submit my own documents, including proof of forged signatures, a witness statement from my granddaughter, and a notarized trust filed under my name. Catherine slid the papers across the desk with surgical precision. The judge read for a long time, then looked up, sighing. Mr. Harrison, I suggest you withdraw your petition before I refer this to the district attorney. Melissa's face went white. My son's jaw tightened. He muttered something about misunderstandings. I stood. Funny, I misunderstood too. I thought family was supposed to protect you, not sell you. The twist they never saw coming. Outside the courtroom, Melissa tried to save face. You didn't have to humiliate us, she hissed. I smiled. I didn't. You did that all by yourselves. Then I turned to my son. Here's the thing, David. You can fix broken pipes, broken fences, even broken windows. But trust? Once that's cracked, it never seals right again. He didn't answer. Just walked away, the same way he left me emotionally years ago. But karma? Karma doesn't walk. It waits. A year later, the house is still mine. My garden's blooming again. And my granddaughter visits every weekend. She's taller now, braver too. The other day, she asked, Grandma, do you ever miss them? I thought about it for a second. Then said, I miss the people I thought they were. She nodded, quiet. It had been almost 2 years since that courtroom scene, the one where my son tried to take my house and ended up losing his soul instead. You'd think peace would come easy after that, but peace isn't quiet, it's heavy. It comes with the sound of things you can't unhear and people you can't unlove. The call I didn't expect there was a Tuesday morning. I was making pancakes for my granddaughter when the phone rang. I almost didn't answer. The number was familiar but old. When I picked up, the voice on the other end was broken. Mom! It was David. I froze, spatula in hand. The same man who hadn't called me once since that day. David? I said. There was silence. Then a soft, shaking breath. Melissa left, he said. Took the kids, the money, everything. She said she can't live with the embarrassment anymore. I said nothing. He kept talking like if he stopped, he'd disappear. She said I ruined everything. That I made her look like a thief. That you poisoned everyone against us. He was crying now. The same man who once threatened to declare me incompetent couldn't even hold his own life together. I wanted to feel satisfaction, some kind of justice. But all I felt was tired. David, I said softly, you didn't need me to ruin you. You just kept digging. A few days later, I saw his car outside my gate. He sat there for 10 minutes before getting out, head bowed like a man walking into confession. When I opened the door, he didn't say a word, just handed me an envelope. Inside was a photo, my granddaughter's school picture, and a letter. Mom, I don't deserve forgiveness. I just need you to know I finally understand. Money can buy comfort, but it can't buy character. Melissa taught me greed. You taught me love, and I spat in your face for it. I'm not asking for anything. Just, if something happens to me, please look after Lily. David. I looked up. His face was thin, older, worn. He said, I'm going away for a while. I need to get clean. Figure out who I was before all this. Then he hugged me, the kind of hug you don't expect to get back once it has gone. And for the first time in a long time, I held my son without anger in my chest. The news months passed, seasons turned. One morning, Catherine, my lawyer, now a close friend, called. Did you see the news? She asked. I hadn't. Apparently, Melissa's new life wasn't so glamorous. She'd been arrested for real estate fraud. Turns out she'd been doing to others exactly what she'd tried to do to me. Different faces, same playbook. When the story broke, I didn't smile. I just whispered, the universe keeps receipts. The full circle moment. By Christmas, my granddaughter, Lily, was living with me full time. Her dad was in rehab, writing letters every week. Real letters, not excuses. And every time she read one, she smiled just a little bit more. One night, she asked, Grandma, do you think Dad will be okay? I thought about everything. The lies, the greed, the heartbreak, the fight that almost cost us everything. Then I said, yeah, sweetheart. He just had to lose everything to remember what mattered. The unexpected knock the next spring, there was another knock on my door. When I opened it, I saw David, clean, sober, standing straighter than I'd seen in years. Mom, he said, voice small. Can I come in? I didn't answer. I just stepped aside. He sat at the same kitchen table where I'd once written the list of his lies. Only this time he wasn't defensive. He was humble. I don't deserve this, he said quietly. No, I said. You don't, but I'm giving in anyway. That broke him. He cried, the real kind of crying, not guilt, not pity. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't in years, relief. A few months later, we went to my lawyer together. I updated my trust, added Lily, and yes, David too. Catherine looked at me like I'd lost my mind. You're sure? She asked. After everything? I smiled. The trust protects the money. Forgiveness protects me. David squeezed my hand. I don't want the money, Mom. I just want you. And that right there was worth more than every dollar Melissa ever chased. Now, every Sunday we eat together, me, David, and Lily. Same table, new memories. Sometimes, my granddaughter still teases me about that napkin she slid across the table years ago. Best warning note in history, she laughs. And she's right. Because that napkin didn't just save my house, it saved my family. Like, if this story hit your heart. Comment your favorite moment. Was it the courtroom scene, the twist, or the forgiveness? Subscribe for more stories that remind us. Real revenge isn't destruction, it's healing without permission. Because in the end, the strongest comeback is simply living well.